Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at one of the great paradoxes of modern retail.
Right.
We're going deep on a multi-billion-dollar giant, but we're not really talking about their supply chain or their warehouse.
Oh.
We're talking about one single thing, the $1.50 hot dog and soda combo.
It's the ultimate retail anomaly, isn't it? That price, it just hasn't changed since 1984.
Since 1984.
I mean, think of the inflation it survived. On paper, it makes absolutely zero financial sense.
None at all. And the commitment to that number is, well, it's legendary. You have that famous story about the former CEO, Jim Sinegal.
Oh, yeah.
The president of the company suggests raising the price, and Sinegal's response is something like, if you raise the effing hot dog, I will kill you.
And that one quote, it just says everything. It's the perfect summary of this radical pricing mandate that defines the whole company.
So that's our mission today.
Exactly. We're going to unpack why this financially irrational decision is, in fact, strategically priceless. We need to get into the upside-down financial structure.
The psychology of it all.
The psychology, the levers they pull, and just the sheer operational genius that lets them stick to this promise.
Because the thinking is, if they're that committed on this tiny visible purchase, you're going to trust them on everything else. A car battery, a giant TV, anything.
That's the foundation of all of it.
So let's unpack where that trust really began.
To get it, you have to go back before Costco even existed.
Right. This philosophy is older than the company itself.
Much older. It started in 1976 with a guy named Saul Price and his company, Price Club, down in San Diego.
He basically invented the whole membership warehouse idea.
He did. He started it for small businesses. And his founding idea wasn't about, a nice shopping experience. It was the opposite. It was total operational austerity.
The first store was in an old airplane hangar.
Yeah.
Right.
An airplane hangar. Concrete floors, goods stacked on pallets right up to the ceiling. That whole Spartan industrial look. That was a message.
A message. How so?
It was a nonverbal contract with the customer. It screamed, we are spending zero on fixtures or fancy displays.
So you, the customer, know the savings are being passed to you.
Precisely. That's how you build the kind of trust you need for a subscription retail model to even work. And that brings us right back to the hot dog.
And the sheer volume is just staggering. We're talking well over 100 million hot dogs a year.
At least.
So you think about the cost of the meat, the bun, the soda, paying someone to make it. How can they possibly absorb what has to be millions, maybe tens of millions, in losses every year?
Because you can't look at the hot dog on its own profit and loss statement. It's not a profit center.
It's a marketing tool.
It's a marketing powerhouse and a customer retention tool. For them, the money they lose on the hot dog is just an expense. It's filed right under marketing and loyalty.
So in a way, they're literally paying you to trust them.
They are. That $1.50 price says, the world changes, costs go up, but our promise to you does not. If they can prove that with a hot dog, you'll believe it when you're looking at a $10,000 diamond ring later that day.
Okay, so the mechanism that lets them do that, that's where the business model gets really, really interesting.
It's completely inverted compared to any other retailer.
The upside-down P&L.
That's it. You look at their total sales, and the membership fees are, tiny. It's maybe 2% of total company revenue, just a sliver.
But that tiny sliver is actually the whole story when you look at profit.
It changes everything. That seemingly small stream of cash from fees, that's where almost all their net income comes from.
How much are we talking?
Estimates put it somewhere between 65 and 73% of their total gross profit.
Wow. So they're not really a retailer. They're in the business of selling access.
Exactly. They profit from you walking in the door, not from what you buy once you're inside. And that structure, it de-risks the whole operation.
Because it's a stable, predictable cash flow. Doesn't matter if it's Christmas or a random Tuesday in April.
Right. And that stability allows them to be incredibly aggressive on their merchandise pricing, which is the whole point.
And the membership itself is tiered, which is another genius move. You have the standard, but then more than half of all members have the higher-priced executive card.
And that executive tier is a brilliant hook, both financially and psychologically. It costs about double, but you get that 2% annual reward.
Which makes you want to spend more to get more back.
It compels you to. You start shifting all your big purchases there just to maximize that cashback reward.
Yeah.
You're constantly chasing it.
So you pay more up front, but then you become a much more valuable customer over the long run.
A much higher lifetime value, yes. And all of this is what allows them to stick to those razor-thin margins on the products themselves, which gets us to the famous 15% cap.
This is that radical discipline you mentioned earlier. They basically put handcuffs on themselves.
They do. It's a self-imposed rule. They will not mark up their private label products more than 15%. 14% for the other brand.
And the average is even lower.
The average is usually around 11 or 12%. Now, compare that to, say, a Walmart, where their average margin a couple years ago was, what, over 24%.
So how is that even possible? How do they run a business on an 11% margin?
Operational efficiency. And it all comes down to their famously limited selection.
The limited SKUs.
Yes. A typical warehouse has about 4,000 different items, or SKUs. Your average big box store or supermarket might have 30,000.
Or more.
Or many more. And limiting choice like that, it sounds counterintuitive, but it's a massive advantage.
Beyond just getting better prices for bulk buying.
Oh, it's much deeper than that. I mean, yes, the economies of scale are huge, but it also simplifies the entire supply chain.
Less complexity everywhere.
Less complexity, lower administrative costs, less warehousing, less risk of inventory going bad. It lets them keep their total overhead below about 10% of revenue.
Which is just enough to protect that tiny 11% profit margin that keeps the whole cycle going.
And that leads us right into the psychology of it all. How do they keep you coming back to use that membership?
Well, we know about the hot dog. And you can't forget the $4.99 rotisserie chicken.
The chicken, which is often cheaper than buying a raw chicken at another store.
I know that feeling. I feel like I'm winning when I grab one of those chickens.
And you are.
But then I always leave with $100 of other stuff I hadn't planned on buying. So I guess it works.
That feeling is exactly the point. The whole model leans on a couple of really powerful cognitive biases. The first one is price anchoring.
With the hot dog as the ultimate anchor.
The strongest anchor imaginable. Because that price has been set in stone for decades, it creates this incredibly low, powerful baseline in your mind.
Right.
And when you see that commitment, your brain unconsciously applies that feeling of value, that halo, to everything else in the store.
Which explains why they put the giant expensive TVs right by the entrance.
Of course. You walk in, the hot dog anchor sets your value expectation to unbeatable, and suddenly a $1,500 television seems like a totally rational, smart purchase.
And the second bias you mentioned.
This one might be even more powerful. It's what we could call the sunk cost loop.
Because of the membership fee?
Yes. The model uses the sunk cost fallacy against you. Once you've paid that $65 or $130, it's not just money spent, it's an investment.
An investment you have to get a return on.
It creates a psychological imperative. There's a little voice in your head that says every time you buy gas or paper towels somewhere else, you are actively losing money because you're failing to maximize your membership.
That compulsion drives you back again and again. It's no wonder the renewal rate is over 92%.
And if that wasn't enough, they add the treasure hunt design on top of it all.
Ah, the element of surprise.
The variable reinforcement. They deliberately move things around. They bring in unique, high-end, or seasonal items and put them in unexpected places.
So you can't just run in and grab what you need. You're forced to look around.
You have to explore. And you never know what you'll find or what you might miss out on if you don't go this week. That's the scarcity principle, or FOMO. That little dopamine hit you get from finding a great deal on something unexpected. That's by design.
So even the industrial no-frills look of the store is part of the strategy.
Completely strategic. The concrete floors, the stacked pallets, it's not just about saving money, it's about constantly reinforcing that core message. We don't waste money on aesthetics, so we can give you better prices.
So their biggest defense, their economic moat, is just this incredible engineered loyalty.
Unrivaled loyalty. And that's reinforced by what you could call their good jobs strategy.
Paying their employees well. Wall Street used to criticize them for being too generous.
But it's not philanthropy. It's a cold, hard business decision.
How so?
You invest heavily in your people. You get incredibly high morale, deep expertise. A lot of their managers have been there for decades, and very low employee turnover.
Which saves money on training and hiring.
A ton of money. And it leads to better customer service, which reinforces that ethical trust. It proves the low prices come from being smart, not from exploiting workers.
But even with that strong moat, they're facing some big challenges now. E-commerce feels like the biggest one.
It's a huge one. Their website sales are still, only around 7% of total sales?
Because the whole model is built on you, the customer, doing the last mile delivery yourself. You drive to the warehouse.
And that creates a fundamental conflict. E-commerce means expensive delivery and logistics. And absorbing those costs goes directly against their two most sacred rules.
The 150 hot dog and the 15% margin cap.
Exactly. If they charge you a big delivery fee, it undermines the whole value promise. But if they eat the cost, they destroy their margin structure. It's a real strategic dilemma.
And the other big risk.
The trust moat itself, supply chain integrity. The entire model rests on you believing their low prices are achieved fairly.
If that perception changes,
the damage could be catastrophic. We saw a hint of this risk a few years ago with that lawsuit over prawns from Southeast Asia and allegations of forced labor. They have to be absolutely vigilant about that.
okay, so let's step back. What are the big lessons here that can apply to any business, even if you're not selling pallets of ketchup?
I think the biggest lesson is the power of the unprofitable anchor.
Find your hot dog.
Find your hot dog. Find that one visible, undeniable, high-value thing, and then defend its price or quality at all costs. The trust you earn from that is worth so much more than whatever profit you lose on that one item.
So for someone listening, an actionable insight could be to leverage anchoring in, say, a service business.
Absolutely. If you sell software, offer a perpetually free or incredibly low-cost diagnostic tool, something that sets the perception of unbeatable value for your main premium products.
And the second takeaway seems to be about mandating simplicity.
Right. Ruthlessly cut complexity. Limit your product offerings, slash your ad spend. Make it so your low prices are the obvious, unavoidable result of your own operational genius. That builds trust.
And finally, enforce radical transparency.
That's the capstone. Adopt that 15% cap mindset. Publicly state your rules. Create non-negotiable policies that clearly protect your customers' interests. That's what makes the entire system believable.
It really is just an incredible system built on psychology and discipline. The membership engine gives them stability, and that commitment to value makes sure the engine never, ever stalls.
The genius is in the commitment.
But that hot dog, it's a very physical commitment. It's tied to the physical warehouse. And as the world moves more and more to digital and home delivery, you have to wonder, will that conflict eventually force a compromise?
The real test is coming.
Not by raising the hot dog price, they'll never do that. But maybe by abandoning that other sacred rule, the 15% margin cap, to cover the new costs of a digital world. That would be the ultimate test of their commitment.